Another game, another Super Bowl game that ends on the last play.
Hello, and thank you for joining me. I'm Kimberly Davis. Fly, Eagles, fly. The Patriots were good, but not good enough as the Eagles beat the team for their first Super Bowl win.
I was thrown out of the chair, and this was hurting, and I couldn't get up. Someone helped me get up. My husband was thrown down the aisle, so he was stretched out on the aisle.
Plus, first responders were on the scene in just minutes after an Amtrak train headed to Miami slammed into a CXX train here in the Midlands. And this Ram truck ad using a portion of MLK's speech is sparking backlash.
If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant.
The state of the civil rights activist has responded. Those trending headlines, celebrity birthdays, and I'll tell you what happened on this day in history back in 1971. That's all coming up next, today, Monday, February 5th. The Philadelphia Eagles have been crowned Super Bowl champions for the first time, defeating the New England Patriots by a final score of 41-33. CNN's Andy Scholes reports from Minneapolis with the details.
Well, for the first time in their history, the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions, and they won one epic game against the New England Patriots. More yards on offense were put up in this game, 1,151, than any other game in NFL history, postseason or regular season. It was just an old-fashioned shootout. Tom Brady, he did lead the Patriots on a comeback, and they took the lead in the fourth quarter of this game. But Nick Foles, the backup quarterback who never thought he would be starting in the Super Bowl, he led the Eagles down the field for a scoring drive to end up winning this game for Philadelphia. And for Foles, he now is forever going to be a hero in the city of Philadelphia, as he has come from being the backup quarterback in the regular season to now a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP. The Eagles would win this game 41-33. Foles, the first player in NFL history to throw for and catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And for Tom Brady, he was trying to win a record 6th Super Bowl. He fell short of that, but he still had an epic performance, 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. No player in the history of the NFL has ever done that and lost the game until Super Bowl 52.
And all of a sudden, this collapse, just had a bang. The train started to swerve like it was leaving the tracks. And all of a sudden, just had a big force. And that force took me out of my seat.
Turning now to the investigation into that deadly train crash in Casey that killed 2 and injured more than 100. This morning, safety officials are trying to figure out how it ended up on the wrong track. We have team coverage with our Josh Berry, and ABC's David Curley is on the scene here in Columbia.
Anytime there's a death on the scene, it's tough for all involved.
The 2 Amtrak employees were in the front engine of the train when Lexington County Coroner Margaret Fisher arrived at the scene. She met with the media Sunday after notifying the families of the victims.
I've spoken with both of the families, and as you can imagine, they are very, very distraught.
The 54-year-old engineer, Michael Kemp from Savannah, Georgia, and the 36-year-old conductor, Michael Salif from Orange Park, Florida, were the 2 fatalities.
It was a tough scene this morning. Of course, you can imagine there were a lot of people out and about, walking, everybody's wondering, what's going on.
We're told it took a matter of minutes for first responders to arrive after the wreck, and while officials are happy with their response to the scene, they know it doesn't make it any easier for the victims' families.
Nothing can be said that alleviates this for them, but we just want them to know that we're thinking of them and that we're with them in this.
An emotional day for everyone involved.
This is very, very hard. The families they're very upset. And so,
but she says they're blessed to only have the 2 deaths, saying with a train accident like this, she's surprised it wasn't worse.
we should have had a lot more casualties, but we didn't.
This morning, investigators say the tragic remains of this crash were avoidable. A switch was in the wrong position, causing a head-on collision, sending passengers flying.
We just woke up to a real loud boom. Next thing you know, I was bouncing off chairs and Chairs was flying, cell phones, laptops.
The 7-car Amtrak train diverted onto a side track, slamming into a parked freight train.
Everybody screaming, and then I knew that we were in big trouble. I knew that it was going to be either we were going to start flipping or that we were going to implode.
The Amtrak engineer and conductor in the front engine were killed. More than 100 of the 139 passengers treated at local hospitals. The southbound Amtrak Train 91, headed to Miami from New York, was passing through Columbia, South Carolina in the middle of the night. But the switch was thrown, locked, diverting Train 91 off the main line onto a side track. And a parked CSX train was also on that track. Within seconds, traveling between 50 and 60 miles an hour, the Amtrak train slams into the stationary freight train.
The question is, why was that switch set the way it was?
I think you're exactly right. Finding out why that switch, that track switch, was set the way that it was, that will be key to this investigation.
The freight train company offered condolences to the family of those who were killed and said it is working with the investigative team, but the company gave no indication why the switch was not flipped to the main line. Hospitals and NTSB officials are expected to give an update later today and will have a crew at those press conferences. The Dodge Ram Super Bowl commercial is sparking some criticism. The ad that aired Sunday night during the game featured a Martin Luther King Jr. speech from 50 years ago. It has scenes of kids playing, fishermen, members of the military, a teacher and students, and a firefighter. King can be heard saying in part, "But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant." That's the new definition of greatness. At the end of the ad, Ram's slogan, "Built to Serve," appears on the screen. Some viewers felt it was distasteful to use a civil rights leader's speech to advertise trucks. The King estate said in a statement it had viewed the ad before it aired to make sure it met its standards. And Fiat Chrysler, which owns Ram, said in a statement it, quote, worked closely with the representatives of the Martin Luther King Jr. estate to receive the necessary approvals. In 1971, Apollo 14 astronauts Alan Shepard and Edgar Mitchell stepped onto the surface of the moon in the first of 2 lunar excursions. Happy birthday if you're celebrating today. You share the day with singer Bobby Brown. He's 49. Baseball Hall of Famer Hank Aaron is 84. And country singer Sarah Evans is 47. Well, that's our time for today. You've been watching What's Trending. Get more headlines on our mobile app and at abccolumbia.com. I'm Kimberly Davis. Be kind to each other. I hope that you have a great Monday, and thanks for watching.